Welcome to StrangerThingsPodcast.com. I think that's what we're calling this. Anyway, I am Jim Scampoli, and it's that favorite time every few years that rolls around when there's new Stranger Things. Don't call it a season. It's Stranger Things 3.
That's time of year that comes not once a year, but 0.5 times a year, approximately, around any major holiday. This time it was 4th of July. Yay, America! I'm really excited about Stranger Things 3, and we're back. We're talking about it. Are you surprised? Of course not. We're StrangerThingsPodcast.com. Your one and only Stranger Things podcast. Just because we had the idea before anyone else. It's a good one, though. It's a good one. We talk about Stranger Things. You love Stranger Things. Everyone does.
Yeah, Stranger Things was like the show that started Shows What You Know, which is our show network thing where we discuss television shows. And I was like, hey, Jacob, there's this new show coming to Netflix. It was actually in July, I think, when it premiered, like the initial premiere. We should talk about it. And we didn't know that it ended up becoming this phenomena. But Netflix, it's so hard to kind of, as far as the TV discussion game, because it's like, here are all the episodes, go watch it, and you're going to buy all the merch and kind of talk about it later on, but you're not going to really get into the nitty gritty except for that like little peak window of 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly. We've talked about this before. You're going to talk about it for 2 weeks and then forget it for a year and a half. It's true. It's kind of hard to run a podcast on it, at least in the same traditional sense that we do with some other shows, like The Handmaid's Tale, which we discuss on a more weekly basis there on the Gilead Gazette. You can find all of our coverage at showswhatyouknow.com. But Jim, yeah, it's correct. As far as I remember it, you got in touch like, there's this show coming out. I don't know. There's a slight bit of buzz about it. I don't know. I think it might be big. And you made the call and bought StrangerThingsPodcast.com before the first episode of Stranger Things was even out. A URL that is now worth quite a bit of money. But we do a Stranger Things podcast. Why would we ever sell it? Of course we're here.
We're not in it for that. We're in it for the TV discussion. Now,
Stranger Things, yes.
Stranger Things 3. Oh, my goodness. Now, I will say up front, I've seen all of them. Jacob's only seen 2. We're going to just talk general thoughts on, I guess, Stranger Things as a whole and these 2 episodes. So there won't be any spoilers past the chapter. Excuse me. It's not a season. It's 3, and it's not an episode. It's a chapter.
Yes, what are you even talking about? So to give some structure, we're going to do things a little bit differently than our other episodes of Stranger Things, just because, we're gonna give first impressions here. At least I am. First impressions of Stranger Things 3, and then we're going to come back and hit you with probably a longer episode, going into all the nitties and gritties. This episode will be out by the time you've forgotten about Stranger Things, so that's why we thought we better get this one out now. And yes, I've only seen the 2. I'm quite excited to keep watching it, to be honest. I did have a thought. I mean, we'll probably give a random smattering of ideas and impressions from these episodes along with overall thoughts, but yeah, I did have a thought at one point that, like, if there's a Demogorgon in these bushes or whatever, I'm flipping a table. I'm not sick of them, but I'm done with them. I'm done with Demogorgons, and I swear to God, the first scene kind of had me thinking that. They did a reversal on you. They flipped it on you, but they start in a lab, and I'm like, okay, so this is the same lab? I thought this lab was destroyed. This is a flashback before the lab was destroyed. There's a fucking rift. There's a big thing shooting into the rift, and I'm like, I've seen all of this before. But then they do flip it on you because they're Russians.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm not trying to be a hater here. A lot of people hated season 2 for some reason. Maybe hate's a strong word, but the consensus is that season 2 was bad, which I don't fully agree with. But I do remember.
Stranger Things 2 was bad, you mean?
Sorry, yeah, Jesus. Goddamn Duffer Brothers. But yeah, Stranger Things 2. But I do remember when we discussed the final chapter of Stranger Things 2, we were kind of like, okay, cool. Like, let's put the upside down away for a little while. Let's put these toys away and let's kind of explore something different.
Hmm.
And that's not what we're getting here with Stranger Things 3. And that's kind of my biggest letdown, I would say, because I mean, they did throw that post credit scene in Stranger Things 2 where it did flip to the upside down and the mind
Yeah.
flayer was like looking at the school and it's like, oh no. But I
It,
mean, I guess on one hand I understand like because this show is a juggernaut now and this show is like I don't know, you're in Ireland, I'm in the US, but in the US it's like product tie-ins, merch everywhere. And
mm,
so I guess they can't not do the upside down. Like what I would have preferred is maybe something a little bit more, not necessarily lower stakes, but I guess lower stakes in comparison to an alternate universe. You could still do like a sci-fi government conspiracy type stuff with maybe little inklings of the upside down and how that's obviously going to still play a part in what's happening. It's just not what I got, and maybe that's my own fault for having different expectations. But
mm.
I'm not the highest on Stranger Things 3.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's your fault. And no, to answer your question, I did see Stranger Things flip flops in H&M in Ireland. So yeah, it's maybe not as much, but there's certainly a lot, and maybe not as much merch. I don't think any country has as much merch as the U.S.
Yeah,
But we do like the buzz is still there, even though like it's been a while and people kind of forget about Stranger Things or like most Netflix shows when it goes away. But then like at work, everyone is talking about like, oh, I'm gonna watch it immediately when I get home. When are you gonna watch it? It's not like, are you gonna watch it? It's like, when are you gonna watch it? When can we talk about this? Like, because that's the conversation you have to have. How much can we spoil when?
yeah.
Like, when can we put this in the group chat or whatever? So yeah, there's certainly a lot of buzz around it. I'm still in the honeymoon phase. I've been in two episodes, and I'm still so happy to see my friends again. Like that's the
Yeah.
feeling that they want to produce, and for me, it's certainly worked with these first couple of episodes, especially Steve and especially Hopper. I'm just like, oh my god, it's so nice to have my boys back. You guys are my boys, and then there's a bunch of other characters. Who gives a shit?
Well, I agree. Yeah, but it's like, yeah, I kind of agree fully. Like Dustin, Steve, and Hopper are awesome. Um, Everyone else is a million years old. Mike is a million years old now. And they keep doing this thing, which we talked about during Stranger Things 2, that we hate. These fucking flashbacks that they feel that they have to put in, like they
Mm,
think that we're stupid and we don't remember things. Especially, I mean, I guess fair enough. Some of the stuff from 2 or whatever, because it's been so long, like, there has been time and not everyone went back and rewatched everything to get ready. So somewhat, but they keep putting this stuff in, and in a weird way, it makes it worse because I see little Mike and I'm like, oh, little Mike's great. Old Mike stinks. Like,
Old Mike is kind of a douchebag.
yes, yeah, I don't. They make him a douchebag for some reason.
But he's a teenager now. Like it makes sense.
Fair, fair, but like I don't know. I want a little bit more balance, but I guess also this show has a million characters now, so
Yeah.
it's not the same as like. I don't want to be this fucking guy that's like, oh, I love this band's old stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but like Nancy and Jonathan were always not the most interesting part of Stranger Things.
Oh yeah.
And it was always about the kids, and to a lesser extent, well, not that much of a lesser extent, but then Hopper and then Joyce and then like Nancy and Jonathan. But now they like keep adding more Nancy and Jonathans to the show, it feels like.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's a
and
good description.
so you don't get to hang out with like Mike and Lucas as much. So when you do hang out with them and they're shitty, I do understand it on one respect because they are teenagers and that's how they act. But then it's also like, well, you don't have a balance of like some of the other cooler moments to kind of balance it out.
Yeah.
Um, and they do this thing like with 11, like it feels like 11 in kind of the first episode, it's like, oh, okay, she's grown a bit because
Hmm.
last we saw was at the dance in Stranger Things 2, and I feel like we've gone through a school year or what have you. It's summertime now. But then they revert her back to like season one. Well, Stranger Things 1:11 sometimes, where all of a sudden she's like, language talking. And it's like, are you serious? Like, what? Why is
No,
he?
you tweeted this that she in episode 2 reverted to like season 1. Sorry, Stranger Things
Yeah.
1:11. And at first, having not watched it, I was like, ah, she shaves. She
Yeah.
shaves her head. And I thought that it would be like, I don't know, they found some convoluted reason for her to like look the way she looked in season 1, because no one was like, oh wow, it's so cool that she went to Chicago and got eyeshadow or whatever the fuck in that episode. Sorry, that chapter.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought. And then when I watched it, I was like, Jim is so right about her acting here. When like, yeah, okay, maybe it's against the rules for her to go to Starcourt Mall or whatever. It's be around a lot of people. I don't even remember that part. It's like she's out. Like the government is out of the picture for now. So I mean, it's whatever. But when she's there, it's like colors and her friend. I don't remember what's the redhead girl's
Max.
name. Max is like, yeah, you just try on stuff and see what you like. And she's like, how do I know what I like? That's not her voice, but like,
Yeah.
yes, she definitely like reverts into like, what is this? And just like repeating phrases that people tells her. And she could do that, but it would make more sense to do that in a teenager type way and like picking up phrases and like throwing them around rather than like acting like she's a tape recorder, like
Yeah.
echoing like I dump your ass and like get on
Yeah.
the bus. It's like, you speak English. We know you speak
Yeah.
English. Like you've been here a while now and you're
I
not
mean,
being isolated anymore. So, you know.
it's just they could use that sparingly. Like the "I dump your ass," I thought was a good moment. And when you're getting more into kind of slang or whatever, or like turn of phrases that maybe she doesn't get, I kind of pick it up. But yeah, when you have to explain shopping, like that's when I'm like, oh no, like that's where the disconnect comes, because I can buy on one hand, okay, Mike's a little older now. Now he's a teenager. Some time has passed. These characters are different. But then they also are like, but no, 11's exactly the same. And I guess because in my assumption, I assume she's been going to school with them and stuff, but I guess
Yeah.
that's not the case, maybe, even though she's at the dance. So
That's what I assumed as well.
I'm fine with the growth and the change, but then don't like pick and choose like in some of the other characters.
Yeah.
And I don't know. This show has a thing with humor, and I enjoy a good yarn. But when they're doing this thing with Billy and how all the moms want to fuck him, like it's kind of weird than it is like funny to me.
Is it not supposed to be funny though, or like, what do you?
I
Did
feel
you
like they're
like it or
playing it.
no?
I feel like they're playing it for laughs or something.
But did you like it?
No.
Okay, fair. I don't know. I was fine with it just because he is such a piece of shit. Almost his most fun scene from Stranger Things 2 is when he's like looking for the kids and he just happens to come by and like Mike's mother is all hot and bothered by him and he's like, hey,
Yeah.
and he's got a different personality. I'm like, what the fuck? This scene is different because he's just going around being a racist in Stranger Things 2. That's like his one characteristic that I remember.
Yeah. No, same here. Well, and not to cut you off, but like, because even if you've seen through episode 2, you kind of do get the impression of how, he's becoming a villain because he's taken at the end of episode 1, and he's like, but then it's just a bizarre choice to me because it's like, hey, remember this crazy psycho? Well, now,
what if he was a crazy psycho?
like, what if now he had an evil thing in him or something? Because he was a racist psycho. I think he tried to like run them over a few times in Stranger Things too.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
So it's I don't know. I enjoy the show because I do like what you said. I love the characters. It is fun to hang out with the characters, and it's fun that through, especially even like season one, chapters 1 and chapter 2, you're getting to hang out with the kids being kids. So I do like that they take their time a bit, and it's not immediately like you're in the upside down, you're fighting this, you're doing this. Like they are, like, it is a cool idea that they're going to the mall and they're going to the movies and they're doing kid stuff, and you're seeing the kids are growing apart. Will wants to play D&D. His friends have girlfriends now.
Oh, I can so relate, by the way.
Yeah.
But go on. I
Like
love that.
all like that stuff's great. There's even though I know it sounds like we're being down on it, that there's some good stuff here. Great stuff here. It's just I don't know. I just wish they kind of played a little bit more with. I mean, I guess it's I'm wrong because people didn't like that chapter in Stranger Things 2 when 11 went off on her own and it was more like a cyberpunk thing.
Yeah.
And I would prefer a little bit more of that than some upside down spirits or whatever's going on.
Yeah. I
And
think oh,
that's
sorry to
just
cut
my
you off.
well, that's it. I mean, that's just kind of my
Yeah.
preference at the moment, and still have that brimming, like it doesn't go away, but maybe let's do a little off ramp for a little while here and play around with these
Yeah.
characters.
I think what you said about like wanting smaller scale makes sense in the way that like think about a show like the X-Files. It's not like every episode is fucking it's the aliens again. I mean almost every episode, but like there's monsters, there's different types of monsters, and obviously in Stranger Things they have done like yeah, different well, kind of done different monster for Stranger Things 1, 2, and 3, which is what was disappointing about Stranger Things 2, that it was or like yeah, what you remember the Demogorgon? What if there were like 20 of them?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
but here it's like I don't know where this will go, but I can see your desire to have like the Upside Down can be like the big bad, but maybe like not that we need different stuff, different monsters every episode, but like varying it a little bit and having it all interconnected rather than having just one big thing necessarily. I think you could still be in the town of Hawkins, but maybe not lean on into the same tropes as much. With all of that said, having just watched the first two, I am so with it. I think I've just judging by a couple of your comments, I'll probably have some similar gripes moving forward, especially with the flashbacks and that. I mean, there's nothing too egregious here in the first couple, but yeah, there were some that were really distracting in Stranger Things too. So I'll get back to you on that one. But generally speaking, I'm so with it, and to the point of like the kids hanging out, doing stuff. I was thinking like there doesn't even need to be a monster. Like, we should
Yeah.
just do like 8 episodes of this. I'd be here for it. Maybe, I mean, yeah, you have to have some Stranger Things, but like, I don't know. This is the good stuff. And if the monsters you bring in don't have the same unique characteristics that your best characters have, not all of them, but your best characters are unique and vibrant. And if your monsters aren't unique and vibrant and your villains aren't, then the fact that they get such focus is going to make the shift from natural to supernatural feel unsatisfying, I think.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that looking back on it now, one of the things that I was really invested in was Stranger Things, especially Stranger Things 1, was like the mystery.
Yeah.
And as like things were becoming uncovered and you were learning more about it, and they can't sustain that. And Stranger Things 3, it feels like in the you as the audience, you're always ahead of the characters now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work as well. Where it's like there's no mystery really anymore with the Upside Down. It's the upside. I mean, I guess there's just mystery on like what the fuck, what the fuck. There's just
Yes.
there's just monsters there, I guess. And why is it like the same? Like the school is there, but it's an upside down school, and there's a car parked. What about when that car drives? Is that not, like little stupid nerdy Reddit things that I'm sure people have talked to death? But there's not like a mystery around it. And I've been rewatching Veronica Mars, getting ready for the new Veronica Mars coming to Hulu, by the way, at the
Ooh.
end of this month. And Veronica Mars makes an interesting mystery every episode, in addition to having an overarching mystery over all of it. And they don't even have the luxury of being able to throw in monsters and sci-fi secret governments.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just because I've been rewatching that. I'm in mystery mode and I'm watching this show. Like, where's the mystery already?
Yeah.
Because it's not quite there.
I think that's probably fair because we are very much like we're seeing Max's brother like get pulled into the thing at the end of the first episode, and then he comes out, and it's like fairly clear what's going on. We're in his head. There's bad stuff happening, but yeah, there's certainly very little mystery brewing, because it's more like we know bad stuff is happening, and we know we're ahead of the characters. There's Russians talking into the thing. We saw them talking into the thing,
Yeah.
sending that message. We saw what they're trying to do, and we can infer all sorts of things from that, because it's built like you've it's a house of cards of tropes, and the cards all have tropes on them. There are so many tropes that build Stranger Things that we are going to make automatic assumptions and leap to things that are usually correct if you lean into them in these ways. And if the structure isn't, that interesting, then that could be detrimental. Still, again, preface this: I've seen two. I'm excited, but
Yeah.
but
I'm
yeah,
not trying, and I'm not trying to piss all over your excitement or anything either. I mean, obviously, I still watched it in the span of 24 hours. So it's still a show I enjoy, or maybe it is. I'm just tricked by Netflix. I'm like, I gotta watch this before everyone. I watch this. Uh, but yeah, I mean, the characters are still great. And this isn't the show's fault. This is maybe just the world's fault. The people were annoyed when Stranger Things first dropped at a lot of the nostalgia nods,
Mm.
and I guess that's maybe wearing a little thin on me as well. Uh, but I can't blame Stranger Things for it because that's always been their thing, and maybe it's just other things have tried to cash in on that since Stranger Things kind of blew up.
Yeah.
But when they're doing New Coke and they're like, New Coke, remember from the '80s, and I even had to. I love Back to the Future, and then even like seeing a Back to the Future poster, even though I know they have to have it, I still roll my eyes at it. I
Mm.
did
Does it?
enjoy. Oh,
Yeah.
good.
I was just gonna say it's interesting because I don't have that fatigue here. I guess
Okay.
I give them a pass because I wouldn't say they're the first to do it, but they were one of those shows that did that really well,
Yeah.
and while having a great story as well. And I'm actually like, I'm almost on the opposite side there. I mean, yeah, some of the stuff might be over the top, but I think there was more stuff like that annoying me in the previous season. Sorry, the previous Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
Um, yes, like I vaguely remember stuff like that annoying me there, but here, even just like the set design and the costumes, especially costume design and the clothes and the colors, I'm really into it, and it feels to me still the way they want it to feel, which is coming back to a place you'd forgotten about, because it's interesting because we have nostalgia about Stranger Things now because
Yeah.
it's been some years. So we have like a show that was built on nostalgia for the 80s. We now have nostalgia for these specific characters, and they might lean on that. They might like use that, and maybe it doesn't always work, but either way, yeah, even the 80s stuff, because I came to think of like San Junipero, which is an episode of Black Mirror, which is very 80s, or well, yeah, it's got a lot in it, but it's
Yeah.
like similar. But I'm like, this was so ahead. As far as I remember, this was like way before that, and I don't know, they did it well, and all the clothes, and I'm just rambling at this point, but I might get fed up with it, and I could totally see someone getting fed up with it. But maybe there's just not been enough things that have stuck out to me. Like I wouldn't even necessarily notice all of the things not being American, not being as immersed in the same culture as well.
Yeah, and I mean, because it's just like these are nitpicky. I'm being kind of a curmudgeon. I do understand that. I did enjoy that they went to see Day of the Dead, but then like I don't know, like Joyce has a flashback and she's watching Cheers with Bob, and it's like Sam and Diane, like I wish they'd get together, and then it's like that's Joyce and Hopper. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's like yeah,
Yeah.
we get. I get that Joyce and Hopper are Sam and Diane on Cheers. You don't have to like then show me Cheers and be like, remember Cheers? And maybe again it is more because of here with all the merchandising because Coke was selling new Coke and Stranger Things Coke and Burger
Oh
King was
God.
selling upside down Whoppers. They just come up. They just literally come upside down. And there's many scenes in Stranger Things 3 where they're always like, Burger King, let's get a Whopper. You want a new Coke? And I guess that's always been the thing. You know, they go waffles and stuff like that. That's part of it. But it just, I don't know. I guess it's because I wasn't quite as immersed into it.
Yeah.
I started seeing some of that stuff a little bit more.
I
Um,
think that makes perfect sense because I would be so annoyed by the upside down Whopper. But like having not been around any of that, being in Ireland, it's like, oh, Stranger Things. It's like a dive into not just a different time. I mean, this is same for you, of course, because it's not just taking place in the 80s, it's taking place in an 80s movie. But that is so separated from where I am. And as far as like Cheers, like I know of Cheers and a lot of stuff from the US through references and sitcoms and like other shows and stuff. I never watched Cheers. I know the intro. I've seen like small clips, but like to me it's not as on the nose because it's not as big of a like cultural touchstone for me, you know? So that kind of helps in a weird way.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And again, these are kind of just my own hangups, I guess, because yeah, I'm just kind of noticing these things, and maybe in a weird way, I'm kind of rebelling because this idea, like I just seen it consistently that Stranger Things 2 was bad, and then I'm like, well, if you thought that was bad, like what, why are you loving Stranger Things 3, or where are people at with Stranger Things 3 then? But don't get me wrong. I mean, I go to Halloween Horror Nights. I've been through the Stranger Things maze. I have Stranger Things shirts. I'm part of the problem. I understand this.
Yes, I was gonna say maybe, Jim. That's part of it as well. You're so invested that you feel this ownership, and you want it to be even better. You want it to be its best. And I don't know. It's have you heard people say being up or down on or upside down on Stranger Things 3? It's only been out like 24 hours at this point.
I've read a little bit on Twitter, and I mean, at least the tweets, the Twitter tweets are, this is so great. This is the best season. This is the best season ever. They call it seasons. They don't understand.
We would
Or
never
like,
do that.
give us Stranger Things 4 already. Because I mean, I finished it like the next day, but I was behind most people. A lot of people just stayed up all night watching it.
Yeah, some people have things to do, you know. Like I think, yeah, I don't know. What do you think at home? I would be really interested in your thoughts on all this. And like I said, we're gonna come back with a longer discussion here. But just yeah, send us your thoughts to showswhatyouknowshow@gmail.com, and we'll include them in our main discussion of Stranger Things. A couple of more things that we might want to call out regarding these episodes. I do love Hopper's sort of vendetta against the kids' relationship. Part of the reason I don't mind the kids being annoying is it makes me sympathize more with Hopper, and I'm like, yeah, they are always making out. Like Hopper has a point, and he's being a psycho, but in the funnest way. And he's got, I think, a bit bigger of a gut in his little uniform and a mustache.
I totally didn't get Mike being such a dick to Hopper, but I guess it is the rebellious teenager. Like when he tries to talk to him, and they laugh in his face, and he whispers in Eleven's ear, like, even as a rebellious teenager, like it feels like if you were like over a girl's house, you still wouldn't just be outright. I mean, I guess you're showing off. I don't know. I was just kind of like, ooh, what a piece of shit. But maybe that's because I'm old now. But if I was a kid, I'd be like, fuck yeah, fuck parents, bro.
But it's also, he let that silence hang for literally 20 minutes. They had to say something to fill the gap because he didn't say anything at all for a long time.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Additionally, the mall is, I mean, obviously like a big part of this, even just in the first couple episodes. And I do like Steve's new job.
Yeah.
Steve's coworker comes in like, "Hi, I'm on the show now." Like she comes in like, "Hi, I'm no recurring cast. No, thank you. I'll take a main cast role," because she just flops it. Like he's trying to hit on these girls, and like she's in the background like, "Ah, you sucked at it again," and it's like, "Hi, I'm the most attractive character on this show," and he's like, and he just acts like, no, I have to hit on these random extras. I want to date an extra, and she's there like, but I'm a main character, and we'll see where that goes. But it's pretty, she does come in like, "Hi, I'm your new love interest." Nice.
Yeah, it's just the only problem. I like a lot of people love that character, the Robin character. My only problem is it just felt very Max in Stranger Things 2, where it's like. we need to bring in another edgy girl that's gonna come in and tell everyone like, "Hey, what the fuck's up?" You're like, yeah, like kind of basically what you're saying. Like, because
Yeah.
when Max came in, she's like, "I'm better at video games. I could do fucking leap skates tricks.
I
I'm
speak
the
four
best."
languages.
Yeah, and now they kind of did it with Robin as well. Which, I mean, I guess they needed more female characters, and the badass dude character is a trope as well, so they're kind of playing off of that. But yeah, it felt to me like here's another Jonathan and Nancy trying to pull Steve down over here, Steve and Dustin.
Yes. Yes, but I do still kind of love. I mean, there's enough in there that's actually good that I like it. Just the idea of the scoreboard is kind of fun, and her
Yeah,
being
that is fun.
her being like, huh, and him having so many friends who are children is really funny as well. Like when Dustin comes in and
Yeah,
is like, "Hi, is he here?" Like, huh? And then he comes out and plays his trumpet, and they do the Star Wars thing. And she's just standing there looking at it, like, yeah, I didn't mind any of that. And yeah, you're right, Dustin and Steve, like, what a power couple are gonna take on the world. These two.
yeah, absolutely. Let me see what else is kind of going on in these two here. I mean,
Uh,
like I said, I did think the kind I dump your ass was kind of fun, a little on the nose with Cold as Ice playing in the background, but I guess that's kind of part of the point.
hmm.
Um,
We have Joyce ditching Hopper to go. I mean, I'm upset with her for that, but I am glad that we get to see Mr. Science back, whose name I forget.
yeah,
But he's always been great. We've always loved him, and the way he's reintroduced. I remember in Stranger Things 2, he just suddenly had some hot girl over or whatever. It's like hell yeah, and now he has like he's painting Warhammer figures or miniatures, and the way the garage door opens to slowly reveal him and everything. This is great to have him back. It's which
yeah,
is such a contrast because you're so right about. Damn, I'm even blanking on their names. Nancy and
Jonathan.
yeah, like like yes, okay, her being a reporter, this I can get behind, can get into kind of, but it's still like, hey, we're investigating the mystery, and it's like trope,
Yeah,
like. But
yeah,
I like the old lady they went to see, like she was a vibrant character even though she's just in it for a little bit. But yeah, they're so just why are they so boring, Jim? I don't get it.
yeah. It's tough, and it's just the thing with them. I don't think it would be as bad, but it's like they're always partnered together doing a separate thing. And I mean,
Yeah,
this season is a lot of that. And I think Stranger Things 2 is similar too, where like, I mean, you have so many characters, you kind of have to break them up into A, B, and C plots. But you kind of need to mix it up a bit. Like maybe like, cause that's, even though Steve was already a great character, then when you throw him in with Dustin, it's like even cooler.
yeah,
So I don't know. Maybe Nancy and Joyce need to do something, and Jonathan and Hop. Like maybe you need to shake it up a little bit and see
yeah.
other characters interact, and that kind of adds the little spark that you need. Because I don't hate those characters, but yeah, it is definitely more of a drag when you're hanging out with Nancy and Jonathan, in my opinion.
Yes, and even though I was annoyed by Eleven suddenly not being able to talk and like being reintroduced to all these things she presumably should have had familiarity with by now, I still liked having Max and Eleven hang out because it's like here's two characters who wouldn't necessarily be together instead of like going with like because these characters are so interesting, let's see them bounce off each other in new ways and not just like, oh, remember this, you can actually
Yeah,
shake it up a bit, which they have done.
yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, always a lot of potential. It's obviously a fun world to hang out in. These characters are cool. It is like you said, kind of hanging out with some old friends again. It's just I well actually 2 episodes in. What's your feeling on the pacing for an 8 episode show?
um I mean, like I said, I wouldn't have minded if it was like normal stuff for longer, and there's a lot of normal stuff in this, and then we just kind of have the side plot of Max's brother, becoming a monster. I get a invasion of the body snatchers type feel. They're gonna take people over, and the whole town's gonna be weird people, and or yeah. And then there's also the flesh goo monster, of course. That's just exploded rats and stuff merged together. Pacing wise, I think it's fine. I mean, I was kind of not surprised. I did feel like a cop out for a second when he gets dragged down at the end of episode 1 and then comes out at the start of episode 2. I really thought they were doing a barbs with her with
Oh
him and
yeah.
just killing him off there because everyone kind of hated that character. I was like, oh, good, we can sort of reset the stakes that things are dangerous with getting rid of him. But then like, no, I guess it does make sense to keep him around as well. But making him the villain isn't as interesting as making, say, Jonathan the villain, because like he was already the villain. But anyway, the pace, I didn't mind it. Do you have thoughts you want to say on that?
Yeah, I just feel like it does feel very slow for only an 8 episode series. But I can't. I also I believe I was thinking that even within the first 2 episodes. I don't think that's just something I thought of now that I finished it. But just. But then again, I also do, like I said, I do like hanging out with them just as regular life for a little
Yeah.
bit. So I wouldn't really change that. But again, I think maybe it just comes down to mystery wise, like uh maybe I just don't feel like some of the stuff they do along that is just fully sustains the episode count.
Yeah, it makes sense because I vaguely remember in Stranger Things 2 feeling like there wasn't as firm of an inciting incident as Stranger Things 1, because of course that ends, I think the first episode ends with them meeting 11, and then that's like this is the thing, it's ET, it's with 11. And
Yeah.
like that was so clear and good and strong and focused. And then here it's like, we're just kind of hanging out and there's some bad stuff happening. Oh, this guy got pulled into a hole. But like you said, we already know about the Upside Down. So it's not that weird to us anymore. The first season, when we had no idea what the Upside Down was, and we had 11 with powers, and there was weird stuff happening all over, like, it's like, what is actually happening? And now we're being told what's happening as it's happening. So not only not a mystery, it's also like a slow developing of events that, yeah, I don't know, there it's hard to have as firm of a, if the inciting incident of the mystery of the show is that our friend Max's brother gets possessed, that's not very good. That's not a great way to do it. As I said, I didn't mind it, but it's hard to have as firm of a structure as they did in Stranger Things 1.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I guess, yeah, like you said, I mean, was there anything else? I mean, I think that kind of gives an overall, and then, like you said, we can kind of come back to this and dive into some more specifics and some more details.
Yes, and as mentioned, we'd be happy to take your feedback on board as well. So please do email us at showswhatyouknowshow@gmail.com. And yeah, we'll see what you think. We'll also have a chance to sort of see how everyone kind of reacts to Stranger Things 3. I mean, as I said, people forget about Stranger Things so fast. It happens with most Netflix shows,
Yeah.
but we'll get a chance to sort of gauge that as well and what that might mean for the show moving forward. So I am actually going to go and watch Chapter 3 right now. Thanks for hanging out and discussing the first couple of ones with us.
Yeah, and I guess we'll see you on the upside.
We'll catch you on the upside
Catch
down.
you on the upside down.